HR ideas, and specifically the employment policy. You'd like to rewrite that, is what I thought I heard you say tonight.
I'd like to reorganize the process.
Do you, when that gets reorganized, does the union have to be involved with that, as the way their contracts are written right now?
That is the attractive thing about doing it that way. When you involve the citizens up front in the application process,
No, I don't mean the citizens. That's a great idea. I'm talking about the union itself.
these applicants are not union until they're hired.
Ah, there you
That's what
go.
I'm saying. You have more control over the situation up front,
Up
and they're
front
not
is
part
a
of the
good
union.
idea, but what about the back end too? After you've hired them and you do have a problem, the employment policy, I come from private business, and that policy was not negotiated because we were a non-union shop, so I have no idea how you go about. I'm hoping you have some ideas on how to.
I do. Let me share you with you real quickly. The sheriff gets a lot of good press out of saying, he's ethical and he's going to fire people, and I get that, and I'm for that too. My charge to those deputies are do justice and walk humbly. And when you do step outside of that, or you do have a personal failure, it's because you've done something selfish, and you've stepped outside of that humility, and you've forgotten who you work with and who you work for. So what I'd like to do is to set up that level of expectation to reduce some of that that willingness to maybe step outside those lines. The unions, again, if you're constantly have your hand up against the union, there's going to be this adversarial relationship, and you just can't have that. If you just listen to them, and Brian Denzel did a great job with this. He was just lambasted for taking union money during his campaign. But it's not that he wanted to do everything they wanted him to do, it's just that he listened. And you see this with not only law enforcement officers, but politicians in general. When they've got an idea in their head and they put their hand up, when people don't feel they're being listened to, it's almost like you're calling them a liar. And people don't like that. And I spent about 2 weeks ago, I spent about a half hour sitting down with the Creech family in their dining room. And it wasn't so much what happened, it was the response. And we didn't like this I know what's best for you type attitude. They wanted someone to listen to them. Do you know it was 5 months before they got a face-to-face with their sheriff? Regardless how you sit on that situation, and there's a lot of controversy about it, but 5 months before you get to go face-to-face with your sheriff? Not going to happen when I'm elected. So I've been president of 2 police unions. I got to say, I haven't been involved in this one here simply because they weren't like the ones I were involved in, because the one back east that I was involved in was very saturated within the community. It wasn't a lot of this. It was, we were out spending money on developmentally disabled people. We were buying vehicles for needy people. It was stuff like that we were doing in the community. What you see here in the unions here are very what's in it for me sort of thing. And I'd like to change that. I think that we can do that. We can change that. Get them more involved in the community. Make them be in charge of the Youth Athletic League. And I think if you do that, the public will be more willing to listen to them and be more receptive to some of the things that they do say. So I'm going to change that. Rob?